From the St. Louis Public Radio Newsroom, this is The Gateway. It's Wednesday, October 14th. I'm Wayne Pratt. In his 3 weeks as acting director of the St. Louis County Department of Justice Services, Doug Burris has spent a lot of time listening to employees at the county jail in Clayton.
They've not had much involvement in changes that have been made, and I think it's imperative that I make sure that they have the ability to be heard.
St. Louis Public Radio's Rachel Littman will have more on how Burris plans to help get the troubled agency on the right path in just a few minutes. The St. Louis County Council is at a standstill after a tidal wave of comments on proposals to restrict the county executive's emergency powers over a pandemic. St. Louis Public Radio's Jason Rosenbaum reports.
The council received more than 2,200 comments on bills curbing County Executive Sam Page's powers during a pandemic. And because it would literally take more than 4 days to read those comments aloud, the council decided to recess until Wednesday afternoon without taking a vote. The council had previously placed a 2-hour limit on staff reading comments aloud, with the rest of the feedback going into the council's journal. But Councilwoman Rochelle Walton-Gray says that process hasn't worked well.
I expected to get the journal and to be able to read or at least see other comments, but that hasn't happened. I think we've only gotten one.
Critics of reading the comments aloud say it's a stalling tactic to prevent bills from passing. I'm Jason Rosenbaum, St. Louis Public Radio.
A staff member employed through the Missouri Department of Corrections has died from COVID-19. It is the first reported death among a state prison employee related to coronavirus. A department spokesman says the worker tested positive in September and had, quote, multiple serious medical conditions. The person worked in northwest Missouri, but the DOC is declining to specify which correctional facility. The death has been reported to local and state health departments. St. Louis Public Schools will begin to welcome students back into the classroom on Monday. Children from pre-K through second grade will be allowed to return, while those in grades 3 through 6 will come back the following week. Rachel Grand is a parent who has decided to keep her daughter at home. She says there is not enough information on how schools will handle virtual and in-person learning simultaneously, and not enough support for the people who need it.
I'm concerned about our teachers. I'm concerned about losing staff. Obviously, I'm concerned about their health. And that, I think, is the biggest issue for me.
The district and teachers union are still in negotiations to figure out details of how dual teaching will work. The general election is 3 weeks away, and it could break records for voter turnout. Election officials say 29,000 more Missourians in the St. Louis area have registered to vote this year compared to 2016. St. Louis Public Radio's Kayla Drake reports.
St. Charles County has seen the largest gains in voter registrations in the region since the last presidential election. Around 20,000 more St. Charles County voters are registered this year than in 2016. At more than 290,000 registered voters, it is the second largest voting jurisdiction in the state, behind St. Louis County. Election authorities say they expect nearly 1.2 million Missouri voters in the St. Louis region to cast votes in November. Voters will elect the president as well as decide several important state and local races, including for Missouri governor, attorney general, and U.S. congressional seats. I'm Kayla Drake, St. Louis Public Radio.
The new head of the St. Louis County Jail spent years in federal probation and parole. Now Doug Burris is the acting director of the St. Louis County Department of Justice Services. It's a job he's held for about 3 weeks. The jail has been under intense scrutiny following the deaths of several inmates and harassment and favoritism allegations against the former director. Burris tells St. Louis Public Radio's Rachel Littman the challenges facing the jail are extensive, but so are the opportunities to fix things.
I think that the staff are wanting change and are looking forward to evolving the agency. They've not had much involvement in changes that have been made, and I think it's imperative that I make sure that they have the ability to be heard. I'm meeting with as much staff as I can, and I'm also just going to seek out as much information from them as I can to help make our agency better.
Why is having staff involvement in any change that would be implemented so key?
They are the ones that do the jobs every single day, a thankless job, frankly. And they're the ones that I think can come up with some of the best solutions since they're involved in those responsibilities daily. And I can come in and may have some good ideas, but I personally feel that the best ideas come from the bottom up, not the top down.
What have been some of the key things that you are hearing? What are their priorities and how do they align with yours?
I think they're wanting just clear direction on where it is we're going. And they also want to be heard when there are difficulties. And some of the stuff is, frankly, it's a major problem right now is staffing and scheduling. And that's one of the things we're working on to correct immediately. But again, the majority of the staff seem really open to change, and I'm convinced that we are going to make this a benchmark agency.
The jail has had 4 directors since 2018. Is there any sense that that lack of stability has contributed at all to some of the issues that we've seen?
That's an excellent question, and I truly don't know the answer for that. I know where we're at right now and that we have to fix the problems here and make this a better agency. I'm not sure what led to all of this, but I can tell you that the staff do want to have a job that they enjoy doing, and we're going to make sure that we get there.
The Justice Services Advisory Board was reconstituted under Dr. Page's administration, but they've expressed that they feel that they've sort of been sidelined in conversations about the jail. In a Doug Burris Justice Services Department, what will be their role?
I am so pleased with the members that we have on the advisory board because they come from a very eclectic background, and I'm convinced that they're going to be able to help direct me in what I need to do here. They're going to have an active role, and I look forward to it. My first week on the job, I made sure to reach out to each of the members, and I can't wait for our first meeting.
How will some of the ongoing investigations shape what you will do with the Department of Justice Services?
I think that the ongoing investigations and the outcomes and reports from those are critical for us to learn what we need to fix. And they almost can't come quick enough for me, so we can start moving in the right direction.
Would you prefer to have helped set the scope of these investigations in your role?
What I've seen with the investigations is that they are set up to help us bring forth some success in evolving the agency. We haven't seen the results from those, so we will adjust if we need to afterwards and maybe do additional work in those areas.
You've mentioned the word success for the agency now a few times. If you are able to stay on this job for a year, what will success look like at that time?
I'm one of the few people that runs an agency where I want to lower my budget eventually. I want to see what we can do to implement programming to make people more successful as they get ready to exit home. Already on the first week, we're in the process of designing a program where we can teach resume skills building and interview skills for people to have jobs. We're going to partner with the community more. We're going to have employees who have a voice in their job, and we're going to do all we can to stop the revolving door for many of the people that are residents here.
That was Acting Director of the St. Louis County Department of Justice Services, Doug Burris, speaking with St. Louis Public Radio's Rachel Lippman. Our Fred Ehrlich edited that report. Shula Newman is the executive editor of St. Louis Public Radio. Music by Ryan McNeely of Adult Fur. I'm Wayne Pratt. From the St. Louis Public Radio Newsroom, this has been The Gateway.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to conservation and careful management of the state's forests to make them more resilient and better habitats for wildlife. ChooseWood.com.